Hello, Lafayette, and welcome to the LPIE podcast, where we talk about Lafayette schools, the LPIE Education Foundation, and what your donation supports for our teachers and children. My name is Adam Welcome. I'm the host. I am the tour guide of this podcast for LPIE. I'm also a father of 2 children currently at Spring Hill. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in. Today on the podcast, we have one of LPIE's business partners. And these partners, they have been friends since they met at preschool, not when they were in preschool, but when their kids were in preschool. And now they are working together. And I know I'm excited to learn more about these amazing partnerships and to hear from Julie Del Santo and Tina Frechman from Dudum Real Estate. Tina, Julie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Adam.
Thank you for having us.
We're happy. Yeah, we're happy to be here.
Yeah, this is our first LPIE business podcast guest on the show, but it's exciting to hear about it. So before we get started, ladies, just a quick background about the business program. LPIE started this program, many years ago. The purpose was kind of to engage local businesses in supporting our schools, our public schools. And as we all know, there's tons of businesses in Lafayette that could potentially be a partner with LPIE. The program, it runs from January to June every year. Next year, it's going to actually run the full academic year, which is nice. And this year, we have 28 partners, which are donating over $85,000 collectively to LPIE. So everybody that is supporting LPIE business, thank you. Tina, Julie, Dudum Real Estate, thank you. For those that don't know who you are, Julie, can you kick us off and tell us who you are, tell us what you do, and just kind of give us the down low on Julie Del Santo?
In full detail, where do we begin? So definitely not only community supporter, but a community member, born and raised in La Marinda. I was born and raised in Moraga. My husband raised in Orinda, and we are raising our family with 4 children in our schools in Lafayette. So definitely a strong Lafayette supporter. Yes, I am a real estate broker. We have Dudum Real Estate Group, of which Tina and I are, agents and work there. And mainly it's about relationships. Yes, we sell houses, but it is definitely about the relationships. And for that, we are directly related and I guess united with the community and doing all we can to help the schools continue to provide all that they are doing now and support them in whatever they need, whether it be financially or otherwise, to provide what we can for our kids. It's crazy that education doesn't get as much funds as we need, but with that, we can make the change. And if everybody contributes a little bit, together there's strength in numbers and we make the difference we need. So it's about being a community member and supporting our kids however we can.
I love it. I love it. Tina, give us the down low on Tina Frechman.
Well, similar to Julie, I actually grew up in Southern California and moved up here and lived in Orinda for over a decade, and then found myself shopping in Lafayette all the time. Ended up in Lafayette, and now we've lived in Lafayette for over a decade now. I have 4 kids. We have been in part of this community forever. Schools is super important to me. I joined Dudum 6 years ago. I partner with Julie on a lot of transactions. We do have, the mutual interest of building relationships, and we know a lot of people within the community, so we end up crossing paths that way in our transactions. Love the fact that we can give back and support LPIE. And really truly, when I started becoming a sponsor for LPIE, it was never because of the business aspect of it. It was just because I believe in education. So, and that's just how it all started.
So I'm doing some very quick, very basic math. You have 8 kids between you in Lafayette schools. Is that correct? Am I doing that right?
Yes.
Well, now it's 7 because I actually had a graduate last year. She graduated from Uncle Lonnie's High School. She's a first-year college student. So she completely went through the Lafayette school district
Wow.
system. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
And I think,
you're
Tina,
getting
that's
us a
actually a
year
good.
late, Adam. You're getting us a year late. Last year I had 4 all at
Last year we
elementary
had 8.
school.
Yeah.
We had
Well,
8.
7's a good number, but I think, Tina, to your point, that's a good point to make. And I think a lot of people that are new to Lafayette, and even people that aren't new, Akalani's is part of Lafayette and is part of LPIE. So LPIE is a huge funding source for Akalani's High School. There's the Wellness Center. LPIE funds classes and teachers, and we can get into that more later on. We have the president of LPIE with us, Jennifer Martell. We'll be asking some questions of Jennifer later. So it is the 4 elementary schools, Stanley Middle School, and then Akalani's. You both talked about community, and you both talked about relationships, which I don't care what industry you are in, those two are such an important and pivotal part, I think, of any work that you do. Now, Julie, what does community really mean to you? I mean, you're homegrown in La Miranda, and what are those relationships, and what have they done for you as a business partner over the decades? Now being a business partner with LPIE, but then also running your own real estate group.
Yes, so it's interesting. People say, the community, it's amazing to me that people can choose to live independently, and I really believe we're part of the greater good. It's for the good of the whole. It's what can you do? There's no I in team. Well, when you're part of a community, you're in it together. So you just do your duty as a citizen and within community. And we're so lucky in La Miranda and Lafayette specifically. It's such a small community. The good news is everyone knows everyone. The bad news is everyone knows everyone. But it's so great overall being born and raised here. And when I speak to other friends who weren't, their chin drops and they're in awe at the fact that, wow, you guys are all so close, like no town we've ever seen. And it's amazing how many finish college, live in the city or live in New York or live somewhere else, have a kid, and when they're pregnant with their second, move on back because they want to be able to provide that same upbringing to their children that they were raised with. And you say, well, what brought you back? What was it? And it's a feeling. So when you say what's community, it's a feeling. It's something that they were raised in such a community where it is the good of the whole. And we're at the end of the day, we are in this, and we are in this together, and we do have each other's back. And it's almost like a nostalgic feeling of what we are providing in a unique way that will last forever for the rest of their lives. And so it's amazing how many people do come back because they're lured by the community they felt in their childhood and wanting to in turn provide that to their kids. So I believe community is really the good of the whole, because it's family. It's family.
Yeah. And I would add too, I think I grew up in Martinez, so one town away. My wife grew up in Clayton, 15 minutes away. And we both, after we got married, we moved from Walnut Creek together to Lafayette. And I know we've been in Lafayette for a decade, and we're on our second home. And when we tell people we live in Lafayette, so many people, just like the bumper sticker, they say, oh, I love Lafayette. Mm-hmm. There is something about this community. And I know it's why we are here and why we tell our friends, hey, there's a house next door for sale. Come be our neighbor, because we want to build that community in a stronger way. And, I would say too, when I think about this podcast and the work that we all do as parents, we want that for our children also. So because that community and those relationships are so important. Tina, with 4 kids, 3 still in Lafayette schools, talk about what you think your kids have gotten from the schools and from being here and from LPIE, and just what has there been a difference in, you would say, maybe other people living other places being from Southern California? I know that Northern California and Southern California, they're like 2 different states. But what type of community or relationships and just those bonds have you seen? Any kind of personal stories that you could expand on?
Sure. Yeah. So maybe I mentioned a little bit about my college student who just started college this year. She went to a Seedlings High School, preschool actually, similar to my son, where my son met AJ, Julie's son. So she graduated from Seedlings Preschool, met some friends there, and she's actually still best friends with some of those kids that went to preschool. So they're first year college students, and they've been connected ever since. So that's the kind of community building that we have around here in Lafayette, that you make long lasting friendships. Similar to myself, most of all of my really close friends, I have some from college, but most of them are all here from in this community. And this is what, like, whenever we're out there working with clients and sellers and buyers and whatnot, we see the commonality of them just coming. They grew up here, moved away, like Julie mentioned, and then move and come back here because of the values and the beliefs and the common interests that they grew up on in La Miranda. So I think that's really what's important. I didn't get that sense in Southern California when I was growing up there. I don't ever intend to go back and live in the neighborhoods I grew up in Southern California, but here I am wishing that my kids is one of these buyers who are going to go away for college and come back and live in La Miranda and live in Lafayette and raise their kids here. So I think that speaks loudly about what we are as a community. I don't know if that answers your question, but I truly think and this is why I think LPIE is so great. LPIE focuses on building community and supporting our education system, not only just physical, financially, but emotionally and physically too. And Julie and I, we're diamond sponsors, but we show up at the schools, and we're doing traffic, and we're, hosting events for the schools and stuff. So we are on the ground working that way too, just because it's an awesome education system we have here with the support of LPIE.
Yeah,
I
I'm going to
totally
get
agree.
to.
And I think, sorry, I think that
No, go.
something that was important that Tina said, you can only hope that our kids come back, and that's not done in every community. That's not done, like she said, where she grew up in LA, she's not planning on going back there or having her kids raise their families there. And you mentioned Martinez, you mentioned Clayton. It's very similar to the towns in La Miranda. There's a sense of pride, and Clayton very much so, as well as Martinez, have that sense of pride and to protect their community so much. And that's obviously probably why you felt so comfortable coming into Lafayette, and here you are, because you understand, you get, there's an unspoken understanding about what community means when you're in a place like Lafayette, and those places have them. And so it's interesting. Yes, the Dudum Real Estate Group's 11 years old, but this is my 22nd year in real estate. So going on 22 years in real estate, I've now been able to see, I'm selling my clients' kids' homes. They've now been raised. I held them as babies when I showed them their first house, and now they're graduating from college and they're buying their first place. Oopsie. And they're graduating. Do we need to edit that? Sorry, everyone. They're graduating from college and they're buying their first place. And without a doubt, they want to come back to where their roots are. And it's such a magical feeling and such a cool thing to be selling your clients' kids' properties in the community in which they were raised.
I think your phone ringing is perfect, because that just tells you that realtors never sleep. They are always there to support their clients.
Yes.
Dudum Real Estate Group.
LPIE wants to take a minute to thank our top sponsors for the 2021 year. These sponsors, along with our business partners, support academic excellence in Lafayette. The incredible initiatives at our schools that you are hearing about on these podcasts are a result of funding from our business partners and you. Special thank you to our diamond sponsor, Dudum Real Estate Group, and Julie Del Santo and Tina Frechman. Also, our platinum sponsor, Law Office of Daniel Horowitz. Look for the 2021 LPIE Business Partner decal on the storefronts of local businesses, and be sure to go in and say thank you. They make the education of our Lafayette students a priority and are crucial to our schools maintaining their great reputation.
But let's talk about the business. So first off, Dudum Real Estate Group is a longtime supporter of LPIE. Thank you. This year, you are the diamond sponsor through the end of the school year. Thank you. Why did you decide to be a diamond sponsor partner for LPIE this year? what does that mean for you as a business? What does that mean for potential clients? What does that mean for your agents? Because I know Julie and Tina, you are just one of 2 agents in Dudum Real Estate. I know you have many agents. What does that mean?
We have 170 agents.
Oh my gosh, 170 agents. What does that mean for you as a business when you are talking to potential clients in a crowded market? There's a lot of realtors in the Bay Area. What does all that mean to you, Julie?
I was going to say, Tina, do you want to answer this one? Gosh, let's face it, this is about LPIE and education and community, but being a business, and there's the phone again. Let me turn it off. Yeah, we don't stop. Being a business sponsor, you're right. It is a crowded marketplace. And at the end of the day, we want to find what differentiates us at Dudum Real Estate Group and and beyond Dudum Real Estate Group, what differentiates us within Tina and Julie. So you asked 2 different questions there. How do you do it in a crowded marketplace? And I really think that's finding the differentiating factor between our standard of practice, between our care, between our relationship-based perspective, between our marketing, between our technology, between our different knowledge of the marketplace that we're in, because we actually live, speak, sleep, everything within the market that we sell. I think there are many differentiating factors that we can go over, plus a few others. But you also asked the first part of the question, why would we choose to be a diamond sponsor now? And I think there's a few different angles to that question. One, we try not to get anything to sway us. The market will happen. Pandemics happen, unfortunately. And, God forbid, I remember when September 11th happened, there's this and Corona are the only 2 times I've seen the market actually stop for a few days. In this case, months. But people still buy. And people still sell, and not trying to profit off of that, but saying we need to be there to service them in a time of need and desperation. So yes, there are things that happen in the world that can take us off track, but it is our duty and our goal to keep on track as consistent as possible, supporting those who were still needing to support us. We need LPIE for our kids now more than ever. So I think that's also why we still chose to give, even in a pandemic. But we need that more than ever is one part of it. But the other part is we try not to be swayed by what's happening. The market's going to come and go, and we're going to see the market up. We're going to see the market down. We're going to see currently, and for a long time, it's been a seller's market. We're going to see a buyer's market. There's so many different, but to stay consistent in what we believe and not have anything sway us. And like Tina said earlier, we're both huge believers in education. Malcolm X once said, education is our passport to the future, and tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. And so I'm a believer in doing all we can to prepare everybody. And if our financial resources can help support LPIE to do so, then it's a no-brainer to us. And so that's, I think, why one of many, many, many reasons why we decided to still be diamond sponsors. I also think that if we can put our best foot forward, hopefully, I mean, I don't do it for this reason, but if one person, even just one more person can say, well, I'm going to give an extra $100 to LPIE because I saw what it means to somebody else, then that's all worth it for me as well. So it's also making a statement and trying to be a leader in the marketplace of saying, hey, we can give, can you as well?
I couldn't agree more, Julie. I love the Malcolm X quote, dropping some X on the LPIE podcast. And I think to your last point, I think it's powerful. It's kind of like, seeing a celebrity or somebody, posting online themselves getting the vaccine. Hopefully that is a catalyst to building trust in other people to then get the vaccine so we can get our lives back to some semblance of what it was before. So thank you for all that. And again, thank you for being the diamond sponsor. Tina, I want to shift a little bit with you as I'm thinking about your 4 children and your one in college. Do you have a story? I love talking about kids. I'm a elementary principal myself. So I want to know, do you have a story that you can remember or a time of when one of your kids was in a program like LPIE Art or social studies or the wellness center at Akalani's that you remember, and you remember maybe just like, gosh, I'm so glad that program exists. And this is why that we donate. I mean, and I tell my wife all the time, this is why we do what we do. It's because of these moments, and not necessarily for my own kids, but for the kids in the community, which everybody is talking about today. Tina, can you remember a story or an LPIE art show or something that just kind of brings this all together?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually have many memories. And which one should I touch upon? Okay, so a funny thing, my son is graduating from Happy Valley, and and Jennifer probably knows this, but we're gathering photos for our 5th year, for the yearbook for our 5th graders, right? So I'm gathering photos, and this was just a couple nights ago, and I was behind on getting photos in, but I'm just sitting there just looking through all the photos of the years in him being in elementary school. And I came across this photo of him and his best friend, I actually helped them sell their house, and they moved to Texas. I feel like everybody's moving out of California, but his friend attended Happy Valley in 3rd grade, one of his best friends. They have this grin on their faces in this photo. They're doing a science fair project. And when we get together and when the science fair pre-pandemic, you either can do it solo, or you can pair it up with a couple friends, or with another friend. He chose to be with his best friend, and they were doing this I don't know, you drop a Mentos in the Coke bottle and then let it explode, and they're doing this in the backyard. And so I'm just looking at these photos, and it just reminds me of how great that time is and how proud they are when you walk through the science fair. Julie and I, we donate to the science. We donate like tangible items to the science fair too. And one year we did a slime thing, and it was a huge hit. My kids wanted to keep it all for themselves, but we didn't. We gave it to the schools. Then well, remember that, Julie, with the slime thing? I don't know if you remember.
I still have boxes of them in my garage from last year's canceled science fair. If anybody wants a case or 2 or 5.
But the great thing about that is that even it comes down to like not just being like a diamond sponsor, but just coming down to like the slime. We spent time thinking about which item is the best item to give these kids, and and we asked for samples so we can look at it, and everything is. Yeah. Remember how it took time?
We're like, do you want glitter slime or glow in the dark slime? Or it wasn't just, you're right, Tina, you're right. It wasn't just, hey, let's get the kids this and pacify the requirement. We wanted
we wanted to make sure it's a good experience for them. So LPIE reminds me of the science fair projects, and my son making this huge explosion in my backyard, and the art fair is always fun. And recently, just this last year, what it made me feel, how I am so excited about LPIE and being part of LPIE, is that when the pandemic hit, we all got Chromebooks. And I remember that email when it went out, where if your child does not have a Chromebook, just shoot us an email and we'll get them a Chromebook. And Stanley, they all had one, but elementary school, they don't necessarily have one. It was just kind of like they have a cart and they have a technology, a computer class that they go to. And then, but when that happened, LPIE stepped up and gave everybody like, if you needed one, you have technology at your house, at your fingertips. So that's a couple little things that I can remember, but it was such a big impact in our family.
Yeah, no, there are people moving out of California. We just bought our second house in California. We're staying in Lafayette, and unpacking. What do we unpack? And we put up on the walls, we put up the LPIE art that my 2nd and 4th grader have done over the years, because those things have such memories. And I'll tell you, being an educator myself and having worked in a few different school districts, and also having worked with a lot of people around the country, when I tell them that we have art, they ask me, they're like, you have art, who pays for that? And I say, it's our foundation in Lafayette. And I think that's a good point too. You both have talked about donating money, but people can also donate their time. I mean, I'm donating my time as a facilitator of this podcast, it's my time. My wife and I are also obviously financial donors to LPIE, but connect with people in LPIE, Jennifer Martell, Danielle Gallagher, Beth Goldberg, anybody, just send a cold email to LPIE. Hey, I have these skills. I would like to donate. Yes, the money is needed. But your time is needed as well, too. And I think we have Jennifer Martell. I think this is a great time to transition to Jennifer. What would you tell local businesses, Jennifer, who are not business partners yet with LPIE, on why supporting the school system in Lafayette is so important?
Thanks, Adam. I think a couple of things. One, we cannot do what we do without the support of our business partners. They are critical to us getting funding into our schools. And I think we have spent a lot of time evaluating our program, trying to make it the best that we can for the businesses in the community, but we're always open to feedback. So if there's something that a business wants us to do or wants us to look at doing, reach out and talk to us about the program, because we're open to ideas and suggestions and new things and constantly changing as we can to make it better, because at the end of the day, we're all one community.
Yeah, Jennifer, thank you.
The businesses are both important.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I would say that goes for businesses that have been in Lafayette for a long time, and also new businesses. As I drive down the boulevard, I see new businesses being built and coming up even in the middle of a pandemic. So if it's as a diamond sponsor, if it's a donating sponsor, whatever it might be, please reach out to LPIE, because Lafayette is not Lafayette without LPIE, without all the amazing communities and relationships. And Tina and Julie selling homes to the kids of the people that they were holding when they were selling that original home. I love those stories. And I think to wrap up this episode, Julie and Tina, I love like the 90-second or like the 2-minute commercial or like that YouTube video. And if you had to encapsulate that into why people should A, move to Lafayette, B, use Dudum real estate, C, be a supporter of LPIE, what would you say? Tina, let's start with you.
Okay, so remind me, A was why people should move to Lafayette. Well, we touched upon this earlier in the podcast. Lafayette is a wonderful community. I don't see any reason why people shouldn't move to Lafayette. I myself want my kids to all move back to Lafayette, and Brian, my husband and I would talk about like, oh, when all the kids have gone off to college, we should scale down and get a smaller house in Lafayette because we want to stay here, because our dream is for them to come back here. So my dream for my kids is to come back here and live in Lafayette. That should be a lot of people's wishes as well. I think Lafayette is a wonderful community. B was, what was B again? I'm sorry, can you remind me?
Yeah, Dudum real estate and being a business partner.
Well, being a business, why we are a business partner, or why other people should become business partners with LPIE? Is that the question?
Yes, all of it.
Okay. Well, supporting LPIE is good for all, I think, and everyone should have a vested interest in building a better community, or at least maintain our superb community that we have now. So when local businesses, I truly believe when local businesses show their support in our school system, the community replicates it by giving back theirs. So like in this past year, I've seen so many people coming out and trying to help the local businesses, the small businesses, our community coming together and doing that. And that's what I think that is why local businesses should support LPIE. It's because you want to support your school system, and then because better schools is better values for the neighborhood, for the community, for the whole. And then you have these kids coming back here, living here, and remembering that, hey, I used to go to Diablo Foods. I remember them supporting our schools. I remember Dudum Real Estate being sponsors. And so that's what you want. You want to support the school community, so the community can come back and help them support you, and then we can all stay strong together. This past year has been a difficult year for a lot of our local businesses. I know that. but so it's not like you don't have to be a diamond sponsor, and you don't have to be a sponsor of any level, but you can help, like you said, Adam, by donating your time and maybe allowing LPIE to display posters at your businesses or be part of the Giving Tuesday that we have. There's so many ways to get involved in with LPIE in our community. And can I tell a quick success story? And we definitely was not sponsors for this reason, but a couple years ago, we had a buyer that reached out to us, and his son have benefited so much from LPIE and from the Lafayette School District that he actually interviewed all the real estate agents who have supported LPIE. So they sat down, they interviewed everybody, they interviewed Julie and I, and along with other real estate agents that were LPIE sponsors that year. And they ended up working with us. We sold them a house. I sold them a house in Lafayette, and they're super, super happy. And those are going to be like, those are our Lafayette future. They're going to stay here forever. They're going to go through the school system. They're going to support LPIE. And being a sponsor that year was really, truly just for, Julie and I wanted to do for the education, and we got a buyer out of it. And it's such a great experience to work with that buyer. So.
Yeah, Tina, before you end it, I have to tell you, what else you get in Lafayette is you get really beautiful green hills. I live off of Release Valley Road, and across the street from my house, there's a rope swing. And a couple weeks ago, my daughter was on the rope swing, and I took a slow-mo video of her going out on this beautiful oak tree. There's Oakmont Cemetery kind of way up in the distance, and I posted it on Instagram. And I had multiple friends in Texas, in New York, write back to me, and they said, "Hey, how did you do that background on the video?" They thought it was a fake background. And I'm like, no, that's where I live. This is one of the most beautiful places in the United States, I'm sorry, to live. We have 4 seasons. You can get to Tahoe in 3 hours. You got the city, you got wine country, you got beaches, you have amazing realtors, amazing education foundations, amazing schools, and the green hills right now, they look like a carpet of grass. They are absolutely beautiful. Julie Del Santo, what is your closing thought about LPIE, about Lafayette, about being a business partner, about it all? Let's hear it.
Oh my gosh, there's so much, Adam. Yes, I agree. It's sometimes not till you're out of this area that we realize what we have here, and we take it for granted. You were just filming a rope swing. Little did you know, it's like the rolling hills, it's the convenient location, it's the sense of community, it's the dining, it's the clean air that we can breathe, it's the clean water that we can drink, East Bay Mud, it's the fabulous schools and staff, it's the fact that we do have a community that's created something like LPIE, called LPIE, that will help support the further growth of our students. And so it's like, and I know with Jennifer Martell and as president, I know she was, we were chatting earlier, and she was saying, you know, it's so important that we give back to our local businesses who are supporting LPIE. And I completely agree. I definitely think, like Tina said, there was a family out there who wanted an agent who was supporting LPIE. And that is important. And it goes beyond realtors. It's so many of our downtown businesses are supporting LPIE in one way or another. And so for us as a community to make sure we take time to acknowledge them, to take time to thank them, it's beyond putting their logo on a sign, but actually giving business back to them the way that this family wanted to give business to us. We want to make sure that we're driving business because as Tina mentioned, especially through the pandemic, not everybody had a great year. And, you know, I have family in the restaurant business, and the restaurants were hurting this year. So if we can carry them this year and be our diamond sponsor, because thank goodness real estate was good, well, then there'll be years that maybe they'll need to carry us, and it's just all in it together and working together towards the common goal. So I don't really know if that's what you wanted, Adam, but I wanted to say, I guess, you know, at Dudum Real Estate Group, we're not just wanting to be, we're actually honored to be an LPIE sponsor. It goes beyond Tina, Frechman, and myself as agents who support LPIE. Many of our realtors support LPIE in some way or another. And it's just continuously such an important topic. And thankfully, the real estate market's been great and hopefully will continue to be. I feel like within La Miranda, it always will be. But to support those who support our community is a gift, a double giving gift. You know, we get so much from giving, and then people give back, and it's just a continuous circle of love, Adam. But it really is. It's just everybody's in it together, and it's all for a great purpose and a great cause. And in the meantime, we're selling homes and having fun with it, and really making sure our clients are happy and satisfied in every way possible. So it's the best when we can bring an out of the area buyer into La Miranda, and then to go talk to them a few months after, and they're just totally blown away. Everything you said about why Lafayette, and then it's that and then some. It's the rolling hills and all the stuff we just mentioned, and they're totally blown away. And it goes back to that one thing I said earlier. It's something you can't describe. It's a feeling. And for that, I'll leave it at that. We're so proud to be part of that feeling.
Yeah, well, I feel the feeling. I hope everybody out there is feeling the feeling, because it's definitely why my family is here. And if you would like to support LPIE, lpie.org, lpie.org. And if you would like to connect with Tina and Julie, it is dudum.com. Is that correct, Julie?
Correct. It is. Yep. dudum.
Yep. Dudum.com. And if you need some slime, reach out to Julie. She has some slime. If you want to do like an outdoor social distance birthday party, Julie Del Santo, it sounds like, has some slime in her garage that maybe she wouldn't mind donating to somebody. And then everyone listening, be sure, please support the local businesses that support LPIE, which in turn supports our schools, which in turn just supports everything. It's why our kids have these opportunities. It's why people are moving to Lafayette. Yes, Tina, to your point, people are leaving California. I can see why, and I also have no reason. I have no idea why they would leave Lafayette and La Miranda. But both of you, thank you for all you do. Thank you for supporting your kids. Thank you for supporting teachers. Thank you for volunteering for crossing guard duty and for volunteering at the LPIE Art Show. And thank you for being a business sponsor and a business partner with LPIE, because I know they could not do it without you. And everybody listening, thank you, as always, for all that you do for your kids, for your teachers, for your principal, for LPIE. And I hope that you have an absolutely amazing day.